Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is How To App on iOS with your host, Jade Starr. Hopefully we're going to have a bit of a better day than yesterday. Oh yeah. Without further ado, let's get down to it, hey. Howdy and welcome to the show. Firstly, I just want to say for anybody who was viewing yesterday's show, I had a little bit of a problem and had to end the show abruptly yesterday. So you're probably wondering why I was sounding a little bit off color yesterday, like sounding a little bit rushed or preoccupied perhaps. I will let you know that I have a chronic blood condition called ITP. I can't clot blood correctly. And yesterday before the show I woke up with a blood nose that went for about 30 minutes. I finally got it under control just in time to start the show, but my brain was absolutely and utterly preoccupied with please don't start bleeding again during this show. So I was really struggling yesterday. And right at the end of the show, you'll probably notice I just went, well, that's the end, going to go bye. And that was pretty much it. That was because I got a blood nose right at that moment and there was blood pouring all over my knees, everywhere. So I just had to end the show. And I wasn't going to go into it at that moment because I was in panic mode. So I thought I would just let you all know exactly what went down yesterday. And hopefully we'll have a much better time here today. Good to see people already here. We've got Tom in the chat, Scott, LC Music, and Six String Gunner. Welcome along, people. I've got my glasses on today as well so I can read the chat. Yay! I've got a new little screen here as well for my little chat cam so you can see what I'm doing on my iPad and Magic Keyboard. And of course we've got our main screen to see what the hell I'm doing. So what are we doing today on the show? Well, yesterday we started looking at an app called Music Studio, which is a DAW, a really old DAW that I am still using since 2011. And it's one of the first things I always add back to my iPad, because I find it works really well in conjunction with other DAWs because of its simplicity. And I've had people who've looked at Music Studio who, use Audio or Cubases and poof their nose to Music Studio like a toy. But it's far more than that. I mean, it can have up to 99 channels, tracks to record music. It's pretty powerful. So today, this is part 2 of this little series I'm doing this week, where I'm going to look at iSymphonic. And tomorrow I'm going to look at Heavy Brass, which is made by the same company as iSymphonic. And then on Thursday, what I'm going to do, it's Wednesday for a lot of people in the rest of the world, I'm going to take Music Studio, I'm going to take Heavy Brass and iSymphonic, and I'm going to put them all together into GarageBand on iOS and hopefully create a massive orchestra. And that's what we're going to do today with iSymphonic. I'm going to give you a short overview of iSymphonic, and I'm going to try within 20 minutes and put together a 16-piece orchestra. So it's going to be fun. All right, so let's get into it. Let's have a look at exactly what we are doing here. So you can get iSymphonic on the App Store. Look, and I won't lie, it's a pricey thing. You need some money to really get this to be at its full potential, definitely. And the original outlay is super expensive as well. Here's the app. You don't really get much. You get, I think it's one full pack of instruments when you first pay for it. Now, in that pack, the way they actually build these packs is pretty ridiculous in my view. They split up all these instruments, like they'll put some orchestral stuff, they'll put some horns, they'll put some a bit of clarinet or something. They mix it all up, so you've got to get every kind of pack to get the matching sets of everything. I really hate when companies do that. Unfortunately, they do this, and the packs average around $17 a pack. And some of them are up to about $34. That's AUD, so it's probably a bit cheaper in the US or in the UK. Right, so following on from yesterday's video, I'm going to open Music Studio and then open iSymphonic through that. Okay, just for example of what I'm trying to do at the end of this week. So here we are in Music Studio, exactly where I left off yesterday. I think I've got like one of their sounds. I've got a violin's legato already as the keyboard sound. So you can see already, like, the most shocking thing about this actual Music Studio, the samples are actually really good. The sounds are pretty damn good, especially the orchestral stuff. I've used this on a lot of my album that I'm working on at the moment. Pretty impressive, I mean, you have to admit. Just for, off the... I think I probably didn't clarify yesterday because of the state I was in, but when you pay up front for Music Studio, there's an additional $10 on top to unlock all of the instruments. And that's the way to go. It just is what it is. And you'll get all these amazing symphonic instruments. But we're not here really to go on with this particular, all the sounds in here. Now what we want to do is I'm going to head over to our track scene here. And I want to add a new MIDI track. And we want this to be my iSymphonic track that I'm using today. So I just click on Instruments next door, down to Inter-App Audio. And there is iSymphonic listed right there. It pops up asking me if I want to use MIDI only or core MIDI. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day what you choose. Okay, so here I am in iSymphonic. First, what I'm going to show you is other packs. Okay, now right along the top here, there's a little box with an arrow pointing down, signifying to download the optional sets. As you can see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 3 I don't have installed just for space because they're pianos. And just these 3 packs take up a fair bit of space, so I've removed them. They're not really sets that I'm using at the moment, so I've pretty much got, well, I do have the entire set. You can actually look at these as, whoops, I didn't want to select them. Go back. Oh, I've got a choir. Right, let's go back to the packs page. I think so. When you haven't, let's see, when you haven't got them installed, you can actually click on the details here, and I'll give you a video and tell you what's in the pack, a rough little sampling of the stuff that's in there. So that's pretty cool. Get to hear somebody really talented play that stuff. You've got some settings here as well along the top. Your MIDI input, audio outputs, latency, your mix volume, pitch bend. You choose Bluetooth to connect MIDI as well. How many voices you want to run for polyphony. Metronome stuff. Pretty basic stuff in there. To the side here on the right hand side, you've got this velocity response. So you can actually move around the velocity of your keystrokes when you're playing on a MIDI controller. So that's pretty damn good. Double click, I think, to bring it back. Reset. And this little fork over the side here. This is, you can change your tuning. Certain orchestral instruments have certain tunings, and you can go through these lists of particular tunings for each particular instrument and mess around with that. And that's really cool. You can find some amazing setups in there to get something different out of a tone that you select in here. I'm not going to really be playing with that much today. I'm just giving you a quick look at it. So you've got this little recorder in here as well. You can actually record your stuff, save it as MIDI files, export it elsewhere. Not really something I use. I'm mainly using this thing to create big orchestral sounds and put it into a DAW. That's mainly why I'm here. So basically across the top here too, I'm going to show you these 2 important features: page and MIDI channel. These are super important. Your page, each page, you can contain a different instrument on it. So you get 16 pages. So you can choose a clarinet on one, maybe a trumpet on another, maybe some strings on another. This is how you build up your orchestra over 16 parts. Corresponding with that, you have MIDI channels. Of course, 16 MIDI channels. If you're familiar with MIDI, you know that there are 16 MIDI channels that you can route instruments across, which is great for if you're using a DAW like Audio Pro and setting up 16 channels. You can actually send these each parts to each individual channel on your MIDI. Fantastic. So you've got them across 16 different tracks and edit them down to really get the perfect mix of the orchestra that you're creating. What I'm doing today is keeping it very simple because I want all 16 pages, all 16 parts in one MIDI channel. So I'm building one track of a huge orchestra. With each page, you get to choose the actual sample and an effect. You can see these just across the top. And you've got a picture always of what the actual instrument is. So I'm just going to grab myself a quick drink. And what we're going to do is start building this orchestra. Ah, yeah. And have a vape. Sorry about the vape noise. Let's make it sexy. All right, that wasn't very sexy. That was very creepy, wasn't it? Okay, so what we're going to start here right now is we want maybe some strings to start this off. So I have the volume up here. When you touch on the volume button, it zooms in and gives you a close-up so you can fine-tune your volume. It does this with the effects as well, which is really fantastic for people like me who are utterly blind. And I'm going to do a search for some strings. So bang, this is all the stuff that is available to choose from. You've got keywords you can search for up the tops to make it a lot easier. I'm going to actually click the status here and check installed only, because that's all I want to show up here to choose from, instead of choosing something that's not currently installed. So, and you can see they're all color coded into each of their own packs that they're distributed in, which again I find really stupid. It angers me so much because I wish when you actually downloaded them you could organize them. Maybe you can. Let's have a look. Let's see if you can organize them into options. Solo, we'll find sounds with at least one solo instrument. Check exclusive to find out which ones. So it's close to what I want. Articulations. See, I want them broken up into sections. That's what I would really love. Into brass, into strings, into woodwind. That would be super good, but I can't seem to find that option. So they keep them all organized in these packs. Luckily, I've been using this for a while, so I get used to where things are most of the time. What I'm going to choose first is from this last little list here, and what I'm looking for is a classic orchestra. I'm actually going to go for medium-sized strings. Now, this little keyboard along the bottom here, which is, I can't hear any sound on anymore. Let's see if I turn up the volume. There we go. That was close. So I've picked some medium strings here. This keyboard along the bottom, you can actually touch this arrow and you can pinch and make this bigger. You can move it around by scrolling across the top where the fingers are showing. And you can actually change, you can transpose octaves and semitones as well by clicking down there. All right, so let's keep these medium strings. This is the first instrument that I've chosen. I'm going to try and keep the volume levels all around 100 with no effects. Now, when I go back over here, because this is connected into my music studio, it's playing back through here. It's playing that one channel, that one page of medium strings. So I want to go back, and now I'm going to choose page 2, give it some volume up to 100, and I think we're going to look for, we can do a search for keywords, maybe a, let's do a trumpet. All right, so a whole bunch of brass instruments come up here that I can choose from. I'm going to choose just a solo trumpet. I'm going to skip back over to Music Studio, and you'll see when I hold down one note, there's that trumpet in with the strings. Cool, so we're on our way to building. You can go ahead and add all of these instruments and then go back and meddle with the volumes to really get the perfect sound that you're looking for. So let's have a look. I'm going to grab one of these all brass ones along the top, because this will have a combination of tubas and a whole bunch of things. So all brass, let's just go with all brass 1. Give it some volume. Come back to Music Studio. Cool. All right. Any suggestions in the chat of what you want me to add next? That's got some French horns. What I'm going to look for now is a Baroque ensemble. Let's try Baroque ensemble number 2. So you can see here, it tells you with the picture of what instruments you've got in there as well. So we're building up a small ensemble. I'm just going to see what else is there. Is there a smaller ensemble? So I already like this one just a little bit better. Let's come in here. Sweet. Clearly I'm going to have to mess around with some of the volumes. I'm going to give track 4 some volume up to around 100. What have we got? Low French horns. Man, I love those Wagner horns. Those things are so cool. There's a piano in here, so let's maybe try a piano and a pad. Here we go. Hey Bubba, good to see you, and adios for now. Catch you on the replay. Cool, so there's a piano. Let's see what it sounds like with the rest of everything. Let's do that now. Let's go into the volume on this one. Pull that down to about 60, just for now. Let's go to part 5. We've got a solo violin already selected. I reckon that would be cool. So that sounds like. Cool, I'm going to leave that in. Number 6, I'm going to look for some symphonic strings, or maybe, yeah, symphonic strings 2. Need some volume. You can hear that's building up nicely. It's going to, by the end, I mean, you don't have to use, already I'm using 6 parts. It's probably enough to build up something like this. Now I'm going to start looking for some instruments that, let's see, that I would not have probably thought of. So there's a bass clarinet in here. I'm looking for maybe a woodwind, strings. Let's try that, woodwind and strings too. I keep forgetting to put up the volume. Sweet. Sounding like an orchestra to me. Again, I mean, now I'm showing you something very simple and basic just to get started creating an orchestra simply. There are far more options using things like your MIDI. If you've got a plug-in MIDI keyboard, you can separate these tracks across your keyboard into sections of your MIDI controller. So you can have woodwind and strings, the first bar, the cello in the next one. You can do all of this stuff as well. But as usual, this is just a 20-minute insight into what you can do quickly and come up with a solution nice and fast, just to over-explain myself as usual. Let's try track 8, because I did say, let's go right down to the bottom here. And I know there should be a low strings and horns, movie orchestra. See, I would normally always pick this classic orchestra too. It's one of my go-tos. That's right down the bottom. What have we got? We need some glockenspiel, don't we? Let's add a little bit of glockenspiel, a bit of glock around the clock tonight. Clearly, we're going to need to bring the volume down on that. Bring it down to about 60. Probably even more. Going to add one more instrument, and then we're going to save this because I'll be using this project later on in the week. What I'm going to do is actually bring that down a little bit more to 25. We'll go to a part 9. Actually, we'll do 10 instruments, so we'll do 2 more. And what am I looking for? Along the top here, let's search for a cello. So we've got cello and woodwind, we've got a solo cello. Let's grab that. Now I always find this cello to be very low for some reason. And we'll choose one more thing to end this. It says full strings, but what I'm going to do is go to my Old Faithful just to give it some strength in the background. This is Classical Orchestra 2. What I'm going to do is lower it by 1 octave. Now let's go back and have a listen. Massive sounding. Right, so we're nearing the end of today. What I'm going to do lastly with this, now that I've got these 10 instruments. Up the top here in the left-hand corner, above this, you've got these 3 buttons. The top one is where you save these. You can see I have a lot of already saved items. Just let me change my camera view. I've got my cam here now, so I'm going to create a new one with my Apple Pencil. I'm going to hit plus up the top here and name this new orchestra for demo, and save. And there it is down the bottom here. So every time I open that up, all those instruments will pop up in their tracks, ready to go. Let's just show you how that works. Why is this one called Bum? I just name things in the stupidest things. I don't know why that is. Let's have a look at this. Let's restore Bum and see what that's all about. Bum, no idea, but it's as easy as that to skip straight back, find the new one I just saved, hit restore, and so there you go. As Tom has just said, look, it's the sampling. They're incredible samples. I can't deny it. Absolutely, some of the most top-notch samples on iOS. The price is hectic. I mean, you have to really be serious. And look, I didn't buy them all just immediately either. It took me about a year and a half to actually get them all. I just found buying them in increments. Look, I'll be honest, I'm a swotty nerd when it comes to paying for things. I look at something over and over and over, read it 100 times, look at the video 100 times, and then make a decision. So I've always been trying to, with the way I bought the packs, was look for things with expressive symphony stuff, full orchestral parts, or movie or full orchestras. They're the main ones. Once I got all those kind of packs, then I started looking for more with the brass instruments. So it did take me a long time to actually build them up. And it's a serious investment, I know. But look, as we said at the start of the show, we'll end on this. Let's look at what you get just with Music Studio. We're looking at let's look at their cello, solo cello. You can always tell a good sample by their cello. It's not too bad. I mean, there's a double bass here. Let's have a look at that. Look, there are so many sounds that are automatically in this amazing Music Studio app. It's ridiculous. It really is. Really is impressive just what you get in that alone. So we'll leave it at that for today. Let's get back to my home screen. Tomorrow, same time, we'll be back. We'll be looking at the, where is it? Heavy Brass, which is made by the same people at iSymphonic. It's a bit different. It's a once-off payment. You don't have to buy any packs once you own it, and it's all only brass instruments. But it works virtually on the same template with the pages and the MIDI settings. It looks exactly like the same app as iSymphonic. But we'll be going through that tomorrow. And then on Thursday, we're going to put it all into motion, and we're going to put it into GarageBand on iOS and see just how cool it really can be, and a trick you may not have ever seen before, using MIDI into GarageBand and from another door. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the content. I hope it's a bit more entertaining than yesterday and a bit more together. If you do so, subscribe, like, share, all that kind of stuff, and come back every Monday to Friday in Australia, and I think it works out to be Sunday to Thursday in the UK and the US. Same time every time. And we'll see you tomorrow for another show. Thank you very much, guys, for hanging around. And that is a wrap. Adios, amigos.